Happy Sunday, everybody.
Happy Sunday!
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's quite nice doing this weekly because it really helps the week go by.
It's not like we've been telling you this for ages, Ed.
I know. But now I have literally nothing else to do but prep these sessions. So,
You didn't before.
Why? Just a struggling career, but it's fine. That can go by the wayside. Thank you all so much for joining, and we hope you're keeping safe and well and washing your hands and everything. Before we start, thank you as always to our assistant dungeon managers on Patreon, Rory O'Sullivan and Graham Muir. Thank you so much for your support. It means a lot, especially during this very uncertain time. If you would like to see the different tiers that we have on our Patreon, you can check it out below in the link. Also, found below, you can find our podcast episodes on iTunes and on Podbean. And before Catherine prompts me, this week,
literally
my fingernails are Oriana.
Yeah!
So I have some lovely purple fingernails. They're very nice. I think that's everything, and I think we're good to go. So,
God.
So, when we last left off, after a brief visit to the libraries in the upper city and researching into folklore, folk tales, fairy tales, you found connections between a childhood rhyme of a boogeyman-esque figure called the Marrowborn, connecting them with whispered sort of rumours of potential cults worshipping something called the Bone Cadre. From here, you went to meet with Mary and Fridolf Eidelwhent, and finally, after many days of hearing their names, you went and you visited the Eidelwhent family, Lord Thomas, Lady Isabella, and their butler, Elmin. Inside, you exchanged pleasantries and unpleasantries as you spoke to Lord Thomas specifically about the murders and the meeting that he had attended a month back. A meeting where all those who were present are now being picked off one by one, leaving only himself and one Lady Victoria Severill. You left this meeting with Lord Thomas unconvinced and with more than your fair share of suspicions. Before leaving Dalifar, you left Mary with one of your sending stones, and with that, you headed out into the city to look into temples of Gond, one of which was in the upper city, a very old historical building, nothing remarkable about it as far as you could ascertain, but it is the building that was discussed at Lord Thomas's meeting, and the one which he is hoping to renovate. Going down to the lower city and passing a very large protest in the wide, you made your way to Bloomridge, where you found a very similar temple, renovated by Lord Carmichael Eidelwhent, the father of Lord Thomas. Going inside, you scouted around a bit, until eventually you found, in one of the booths along the side of the wall, a panel very forcefully opened by Dalifar, and you all quite conspicuously made your way in, mending the door behind you. You found yourself in a changing room of sorts, with a skeletal mask and bone-covered robes. Moving out, you went into a corridor, which itself turned into a spiral staircase, down which there were bloodied fingerprints and fingernail markings scratching their way down the walls, until eventually you found yourself in a shrine, a circular room with pillars, braziers around, all unlit, and unlit chandeliers in the ceiling above. And on the other side, in front of a massive mural depicting a large tower made of bone, there was a statue, a mockery of the one on the floor above, much like the Temple of Gond and its symbols. It was a large anvil, cracked in two, with 3 twisted figures sitting above it, each depicted as creatures of bone. And as you stand there, looking around, you see in the ceiling, hidden by shadow, a figure floating on the ceiling. So what are you all wanting to do?
Has the figure seen us?
Make a perception check.
I nearly rolled that off the box.
Oh boy. 9.
What was your, sorry, Catherine?
22.
22. So, Dalfar, you see Terra looking up, and you sort of are not sure as to where she's actually looking. But Terra, as you look up, you see the figure is staring at you. Staring with bright, white eyes. It is a greying figure of a young, half-elven woman. Her lower half gives way to what looks like tattered and torn cloth that floats in a non-existent breeze, and her face is both young and rotten simultaneously, and her eyes are white and gleaming, and her hair slowly swirls around her as if underwater, and glinting in the darkness. You can see from her right ear hangs a single earring in the shape of a red teardrop. And as you look up at her, and as she stares down at you, you swear that for a moment, in between the shifting flesh on her face, you see something akin to fear in her eyes.
Is she? So she's floating?
She's almost pressed against the ceiling. At least she would be if it didn't look as though bits of her were drifting through the stonework.
And is she, normal sized for a half elf?
She's humanoid size. She comes in around 5.5 feet.
Okay. How far up is that she is?
Maybe around 30 feet.
And is there any stairs going around, or structures that reach that high?
No, so it is literally just a round room with an arched ceiling and nothing else. It is just a chamber, as far as you can ascertain.
Okay. Can I try and assess whether she is afraid of us or something different?
Make an insight check.
A sus check. Gonna sus her. Or not. Oh, 13.
13. As far up as she is, and with her eyes literally just being white pools, it is hard to tell. But as you sort of move around to get a better look at her, you see her move round the ceiling, almost spider-like on her hands, just slowly pressing against the ceiling and trying to keep as far away from you as possible. And she just takes in each of you and then backs away against the ceiling again.
I'm just going to look at the others in a sort of... any ideas?
Does she seem similar to the creature that we fought before?
In visual appearance, no. As you look at her, you see bone, but it's kind of like double exposure. It's like you're seeing bone and flesh at the same time. It's, she seems quite different from whatever it was you found in Garland House.
Is she wearing one of those cloak thingies?
She is, yes.
Are we all looking at her this, now that Terra's pointed her out?
I think at this point your gaze would have been drawn up to the creature.
I lower my axe and sort of say softly, "We mean you no harm."
She looks at you and just... You are not one of them.
No. Who are they?
Slowly, she starts, almost as if sinking through water, starts to move down to you, floating through the air, until eventually she floats around 5 feet off the floor, just looking down at all of you. And as she looks, her hair shifts from side to side. She looks down at the bodies all around and just gestures. Who are you?
We are travelers looking for a truth.
What truth is that?
What happened here?
And she shudders a bit, and you can see the bits of cloth just juttering in the wind in slow motion, and she floats away a little bit, floating towards the center of the room, where you once again see a mirror stood upright, shattered halfway up, and bits of it all over the floor, its frame made of marrow, and bits of bone across the floor as well, in between the corpses. He killed us all.
Does she look like one of the corpses on the floor?
Make a perception check. 10. Looking around, it is a jumble of bodies, all of whom are dressed almost identically. But
Did you say they're old, decayed bodies?
they are very decayed.
Right.
And the smell in the room is pungent. It is not pleasant. But as you're looking around and you're looking for any feature that might distinguish one body from the rest, you do see just off in the distance, up against one of the walls, almost sitting up and frozen, almost like the figures of Vesuvius, so frozen in a crouched position. You see a red teardrop-shaped earring just hanging from this corpse's ear.
I'm just gonna quietly whisper to everyone and sort of gesture my head to that and say, I think we're dealing with a ghost.
What was your name?
Rebecca. How long has it been?
A great number of years.
She slowly shifts, and she seems to just be moving around the space of the room. How did you find this place?
We followed the clues. We found evidence of renovation, and we heard about appearances in this area.
You seek the Marrowborn.
What can you tell us of the Marrowborn?
She moves around the space, cloth floating behind her. And at one point, Zini, you feel a bit of cloth almost push against your skin and kind of shudder through your wrist. And it's cold. You feel it's like ice around your wrist, but eventually the feeling passes. When Lord Carmichael died, another leader was needed for this sect. My father, he took it it upon himself, but the Eidelwhents were not happy.
Who was your father?
Lord Marius Viseth. And as she says this, she stops above a body and looks down at it mournfully before looking up. He was leader for a year. He inducted me into the cult, and I was witness to its good fortune. We conducted sacrifices, and we summoned those who would bring us gold and jewels. And then... And she looks at all of you, her eyes passing through you. He came back.
Who came back?
The son, Thomas. He came one evening when we were here. He chastised us all for dishonoring his family's legacy. He told us we were unworthy, and only his family, only he, like his father and his father before, were capable of carrying out. She looks at the statue. Their wishes.
Did he do this?
She looks at you, and then she looks at the mirror. He summoned something. The mirror was a gift from the Bone Cadre to Lucas Eidelwhent. It has stood in this temple. It is our way of communing with the Bone Cadre. It is how we summoned creatures. How we summoned those who would give us treasures and good fortune. But on this occasion, he summoned something dire. It moved through shadow and tore us all apart. And then she seems to kneel, still floating above the floor, but she kneels before the mirror. She looks at it. I looked as they killed my father, and I cried out to the Bone Cadre to save us, and I was met only with laughter, cruel, mocking, and I gazed upon their true form. She turns round to you. I remember trying to tear my way out of this room. They left me alive. And unable to take the pain, She filters off. She looks up at you. Why do you ask this of me?
We encountered such a creature and were able to defeat it. But not before it took the life of a little boy. And we're working to make sure that stops if there are any other creatures.
It was the last I saw. But if he has more, then gods help you. She floats away, and she floats over to the statue. She seems to cross her arms and just look down at the floor, leaving the 5 of you in the center of the room with the mirror in front of you.
Well, I say quietly to the rest of the group, saying, well, I knew he was hiding something, but this is...
It doesn't explain the murders, though. It explains these murders. It doesn't explain the other ones.
If Thomas is still able to conjure up these creatures, then he might have some ulterior motive. But now that we know that he is definitely the person doing it.
Do we?
Well, we know he was the person that killed these people.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he didn't lose control. Why would he kill
Why? Yeah.
people who had agreed with him?
That's
I'm having
another thing we'll have to be
difficulty
able to
understanding
do. I don't know
he's
why
clearly
yet.
insane.
But there must be some point. What's the point? What's...
That's
Are you talking about this group of people or the other people?
the other group.
The recent
the
people?
other
The other group, yeah.
Mm.
They all agreed with him. They said that they were going to help him renovate the Temples District. Why would he kill them all if they agreed
Also,
with
what
him?
I don't understand is if he wanted to lead this group, he just killed them all and then didn't come back again.
Mm.
Well, he probably he felt he didn't need them anymore.
Mm,
Unless he lied to us that the other group agreed with him.
That's
Yeah.
true.
that's true.
I think the most important thing is that we know that he has and potentially still can summon those creatures. But as to why, we just don't know yet.
I don't think we can let him know that we know this.
That's true.
He has to think that we're completely off.
Yeah.
And then he's not going to cooperate with us, but at least he won't hopefully send things after us in the meantime.
I mean, these murders were the result of a power struggle. Who's to say the same thing hasn't happened again? History repeating itself. There's some other young upstart thinking he can control gods, and it goes on again.
I wonder if they're planning to renovate this other location into a new version of this.
I was thinking the same thing. It is
So
like
There must be many of them left.
It certainly seems like the Bone Cadre don't like Gond very much, given the statues.
Ed, is the mirror intact?
No, so it is shattered from around halfway up, and remnants of it are over the floor. There are bits of reflective glass all over the floor.
So it's half still.
Yeah, it's sort of like, and you're not entirely sure how, but it seems to be standing without any struts. But it is standing, just the bottom half of it, and the top is cracked and sharp.
Okay, so it's just the bottom half that's still intact. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go over to the ghost quietly and carefully and just ask, you said that he showed you their true form? What was it?
She looks up at the statue and, for however dreadful they look in the man-made materials, she looks at you. You cannot fathom the madness it brings to look upon them. They are death and madness and... she looks at the bodies on the floor. Evil. She looks back. We had only ever seen their emissaries. This was something different.
Can I go and join Zini?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want us to do with Thomas?
She looks at you. I do not know. I have only had myself for company, slowly scratching away at the corners of my mind. I did not know he was alive until you came. She looks. I do not know. Though I believe, in some perverse way, his leaving me alive was to make me suffer enough that my fate might be connected to his. I do not know how to pass on, but I believe peace might come when he is gone.
Do you remember the date that this happened?
I do not.
Do you
It has
remember the year?
been so long. I do not know how many years it has been. Time has merged and stretched and stymied.
I walk over to the ghost as well. And I say very softly, we could try and get you at peace. For us to get to the bottom of everything that is happening, especially with Thomas, we will need to leave this place. May I take one of your earrings as proof?
She looks over to her body. And as you see there is only the one on the corpse, just as there is only the one on the ghost. And she points to it. Take what you will.
I nod softly and just walk over and carefully take the earring.
Is there anything you can tell us about these creatures to help us when fighting them, or anything you can tell us about Thomas?
Thomas wields magics given to him by our masters. How powerful he has grown, I do not know. As for the creatures, if it is anything like that which killed us all, it moves through shadow and darkness. And you will be looking. And she comes round, stood next to the mirror once more. And Scarlet, you feel a chill next to you as she comes quite uncomfortably close. And Juliet...
Terrible social distancing.
just slowly creeps under your leg and just looks round. She looks down and... You will be looking for one of these. And she looks down at the mirror. When I was still alive, we used this marrow glass to summon creatures. I should imagine, with this one broken, Thomas would require another.
I bend down and pick up a shard of glass.
Okay. Make
What does it look
an Arcana check for
Arcana
me.
check.
Yeah.
Let me get up my skills and my virtual dice.
Scarlet turns into a skeleton immediately.
Hey, I can work with
Skeleton
that.
chef. I think that's really interesting.
I'm not the DM of this one. That's not,
Is it like the Pirates of the Caribbean where if you stand in moonlight you're a skeleton?
Yeah. I love it.
Oh no, but the Pirates of the Caribbean pirates can't like taste anything.
Yeah. Oh no!
Oh my god, that is the worst thing for you.
The ultimate punishment.
Oh dear. Okay, I have to say not great. It's only a 12.
Okay. Looking at it, you pick up the glass and you observe it, sort of turn it over in your hands. You don't glean much from it, but I would say, considering what you as a group have deduced so far, you're able to get a hint of conjuration magic from this small shard. It's momentary and almost gone in a second, but you latch onto it. You feel it. Still in the glass. Faint, but there.
Does it, aside from the magical properties, does it look any different from like a normal mirror?
It doesn't seem to.
No.
Obviously, the decor of the frame is quite creepy, all being made of symmetrical bone, but as far as the surface itself, what remains of it looks like a normal mirror. A sturdy one, but a normal one.
Interesting.
She looks down at the mirror and just says, only one could attune to it at a time. But once they had sacrificed a mote of their magical potential, they could observe anyone in the world and step through the mirror to where that person was.
Thomas maybe was. No, because he's still alive. I thought, there was that transmutation magic.
But it makes a lot of sense because the mirror in Nikolai's room was where the bone claw came out of, and I would surmise that if they can travel through the mirror as a gateway, then Thomas knew where Nikolai was.
Mm-hmm. But it wasn't Thomas who actually went through himself.
No, but they can travel through the mirror. If he's attuned to the mirror,
but why was it? Because it was a transmutated. I'm looking at Scarlet here, like transmutated thing.
Yeah. I'm nodding very
not
encouragingly.
A conjured one.
Maybe he's using the servants. he's already using them and befuddling them and cutting their tongues out. Maybe he's transmuting servants into bone claws.
Have there been servants go missing? I suppose, well, none of them were killed except for the one that we killed. Did we notice at Mary's house any missing servants?
I mean, all the servants coming in, I'd say make a retroactive perception check for me.
I rolled a 2. 7.
I mean, you were all fairly... you weren't in a good place the following morning, yeah. So, yeah.
I know this is a weird thing to do, and it probably isn't the easiest of things. Can I see whether I believe Rebecca's account? Because there's some stuff that just doesn't make sense about it.
Yeah, sure.
It's, obviously difficult to read a ghost, but we'll try.
Roll for insight.
Goat.
Yeah, your volume dipped slightly when you.
The dragonborn who stare at goats. 12.
12 seems to be honest. Is there anything in particular that you're...
Well, it's just the attunement detail. Like, how did he attune to the mirror without them knowing? And there's bits that just don't work.
As far as you can tell,
Can't
the
you
story
attune
seems
to
to be legit.
How long does it take? An hour to attune to something?
Yeah.
Couldn't he have done that on his own, separately?
Yeah,
without them
because they're not there for.
And I suppose if he had the favour of the Bone Cadre, they'd probably let him.
Yeah, they don't seem to particularly care.
No.
I walk over to Oriana, and I sort of say softly, "Was this what you could sense when we were outside?"
I don't know, Ed.
Sorry, you were giving me Robert De Niro face for such a long time.
I was trying to think of something in my head, and I was like, nah.
Tell me, DM. It's safe to assume, probably.
Yeah. I think so.
Do you think you could do it when we go back to Eidelwhent Manor before we go in to give us some indication so that we have a better idea of where to look?
Yeah.
While...
Sorry.
Maybe... I don't know whether it would be worth having a piece of the mirror to see whether I can locate.
Was Scarlet still turning it over?
I hand it over.
I know it's really meta to say it, but obviously this isn't really something that you could tell us, but my idea might be to use, I don't know, can't locate specific...
You're talking about locate object?
Yeah, because I can locate objects, but it wouldn't purely be locating the mirror, it would be locating, the
magic.
But you know the name, it's called a marrow glass. And since this one's destroyed, maybe you could do locate object on.
Yeah.
You don't need to have seen it before, do you?
No.
It says the spell can locate the nearest object of a particular kind.
So
I
it'd be...
suppose, well, if it's not a common thing, marrow glass, I suppose if you were looking...
I doubt there's hundreds of them in this particular area.
Who knows? We're going to go up and everyone's going to have their own...
You guys don't have one too? I mean...
Alec doesn't have a marrow glass? Oh, gosh.
I mean, that's the witch for you, They're all got their own bone cults. My reading of the spell would be that's possible, he says.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
But it's specifically the nearest one, isn't it?
Yeah, so we have to go to
and it's only 30.
Where we think it is.
Why are you asking for that detail, Ed?
Well, I'm just thinking there'd be one right next to you. Just something's pinging.
No, but we were talking about going to the Eidelwhent Manor.
That would. Yeah.
Why don't we completely destroy this one? before
I
we
think
do
that's a good
anything else.
idea.
Yeah.
Because
Yes,
I'm not
let's
convinced
destroy
that half
it
destroyed is
and-
good enough.
Let's take a piece of it, just in case it helps.
Scarlet
As-
agrees empathically.
Dalifar, as you have moved over to Oriana, you, as you're having your conversation with Dalifar, and as you pick up the glass, you see the ghost's reflection in it, and you see that it is staring quite intently at you, or specifically around your neck, and it just sort of frowns and just moves in. Where did you get that symbol?
Why?
I have seen it once before.
Where have you seen it before?
She hangs back a bit. Only once. In the mirror. It is the only thing I have ever seen them fear. What does it mean?
It's a symbol that belongs to Azil.
She just looks at you silently, and then down once more at your amulet. She looks up. You are dangerous to them. I would keep that hidden if I were you. Suddenly, she starts to convulse. And she starts to scream, and you feel it shattering through your bones as she slowly rises and rises and rises into the ceiling. And she looks down at all of you. It can see you! You brought it with you! And she screams at you, and Oriana, you start to feel the glass heat up in your hand, and Scarlet, you look from this down to the half of the mirror that still stands, and you can see coming out through the middle of the glass, cracking the glass, a very similar sight to that you saw in Garland House, a bone-like hand slowly coming out, and then a face, and then shoulders.
Oh, smash it, smash it,
Smash it, smash it, smash
Okay,
it.
roll to attack the mirror.
And can I take my bladed bow out and try and cut off the arm?
Yeah, sure, go for it. So, Dalifa,
I'm
make your
attack-
attack first.
I'm attacking first, so...
Can I also put the piece of glass that I was holding in the bag of holding?
Yes, you can, absolutely.
Ah,
It's gonna
sorry,
come out
my
into the
dice fell.
bag. Take all our stuff.
But it's trapped!
23.
23, that hits. Roll for damage.
Where's my die?
As this is happening, screaming is filling the air, echoing off the stone walls and the statues. It is like the walls and the pillars are ringing, and you can see the torches and braziers that are on the pillars are shuddering in their holders.
That is 7.
7. You see as the
I
axe
rolled a 1.
cleaves through part of the mirror, it is still standing by some miracle as one frame just falls to the floor again, but the creature is still coming through. Zini, did you roll for attack?
I did. Dirty 20.
Dirty 20, that hits. Roll for damage.
I did. It's 5.
5, okay. You watch as this creature, the blade from the bow just hits the arm, and a little chunk of bone comes off, and it continues to crawl forward.
Is the mirror made of metal?
It's made of glass and bone round the
Is
side.
there any metal?
Doesn't seem to be.
Can I try this anyway?
Yeah.
Can I just, because I think I'm still standing near, can I use Shocking Grasp on the mirror?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see how a mirror conducts electricity. Mirror conduct electricity.
We're learning today.
Yeah.
We'll get advantage if it's wearing armor made of metal.
Okay, so mirrors reflect mainly because they are electrically conductive. So, yeah.
Nice.
Does that mean I can get advantage?
I'd say you're stood next to it. So, yeah, I'd say roll advantage on touching the mirror.
Dungeons and Dynamics.
Yeah.
Natural 20.
Natural 20. Amazing.
Yay.
So, roll for damage.
Okay. 1d8. That's pretty good, isn't it? What level am I?
7.
Oh, it's 2d8. Nice. Oh. What do I add?
It's just that damage.
How to
It's
D&D?
so
You
long.
don't.
Can I
you-
add my charisma?
Mm-mm.
Do you not?
No.
Well, as it's a spell, would you add your spell attack?
No, that's to the first bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought you add your charisma to the damage, do you not?
No.
Okay. So in that case,
Oh, yeah, of course, this is for damage. Yeah.
13.
13. Okay.
And it the mirror can't take reactions until the start of its turn.
Good to know. I'll make a note. So, yeah, you watch as Dalafar brings his axe into the mirror and shatters a piece, and Xena, you bring your blade down on the arm, and it does damage, not quite as much as you were hoping, but it does damage. Terra just lunges forward and grabs the mirror, and you see the creature just convulse in the mirror. It is now halfway out. I say it's probably time we roll some initiative. And now, hopefully, this will work. So,
Right,
let's start with
okay.
Rolling
Ooh,
initiative,
okay.
initiative,
Woohoo!
initiative.
So,
Are we rolling for initiative?
Yeah, we are.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, hang on. Didn't I roll a natural 20?
man.
So it'd be double.
Yes.
You
Yes.
did roll an actual
So it'd be
20.
26, wouldn't it?
Oh, god damn it. I'll learn to roll in a second.
Wow. Frickin' prick.
Take the alert feat, Diani. Take it.
Okay, so this is our very first battle cam.
Yay!
Ah!
So.
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, so let's see if this works. So, let me just
It's like
go
a
grab a
bomb.
mini.
It's gonna blow!
Ah!
+1, +3. God damn it! Why do I roll so low with initiative?
Yeah,
Ah!
mate, I guarantee you've not rolled as low as I have.
Okay, so the creature is there. So where does everyone want to be? So Terra, if
Near
you're
the mirror, yeah.
there-ish. So Dalafar, if you're
Which way's the mirror?
so the mirror's there,
Oh, okay, yeah.
pointing out that way. There's
Okay.
the altar.
Okay, yeah.
There are the stairs going
Yeah.
up. And there are the pillars with the braziers on.
Here is the church. Here are the people.
So around there, Zini?
I think probably actually if Dalafar's a bit further back, because he was hitting the mirror,
Like
Yeah,
there.
I'll sit in the mirror straight
and
away.
then me next to him there.
Yeah.
There?
That makes sense. And then because Terra was touching the mirror and is still touching it, maybe, I don't know.
Yep.
She needs to be a little bit further back as well, but
So Scarlet, where would you like to be?
I think I was quite close, to be honest. If we're going, we're gonna. I'm gonna be up the stairs.
honest
But-
wizards.
Okay,
I'll
put
be
your-
like halfway up.
wizards.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Honest,
Yeah,
squishy
that'll be
wizards.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honest wizards are dead wizards. We know this.
Ariana, where would you like to go?
I was next to Zalafar, wasn't I?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you can be there.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Cool. Yeah.
Lovely. And we'll say that Rebecca is somewhere up there. Okay, so,
Just to clarify,
Heck. Yes.
is it just spells that you don't add stuff to your damage roll? Because you don't add your proficiency, but you add your ability modifier, don't you, to melee and stuff?
Yeah, spells have like a set amount of damage in the description. I think some
Okay.
of them will say if you add things to
Okay,
it.
so
But
it's
otherwise
just a
it'll
different
be-
rule for spells than it
Yeah.
is. But, okay, cool. That makes
They work quite different with attacks, which is why whenever I do a physical attack, I get really confused.
Yeah.
The
So what
spells?
about if it's because this spell said, let me just get it up again. It says make a melee spell attack. Is it still the same just because it's a spell attack, even though it's a melee spell attack? Do you see what I mean?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't think any of my spells count as like melee spell attack.
Shocking Grasp. Shocking Grasp. So it's a melee spell attack. So
Yeah. But is it that you don't add anything because it's a spell, or because is it to do with the range thing? Like, would you still add stuff to a range? Like when Zini uses her bow, is that Michael? Do you add stuff to your attack?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'd say because essentially you're hitting something.
Yeah.
Maybe? I don't know, it's kind of unclear actually.
I don't mind, but it's not about this one. I was just checking because I didn't really understand the rule.
Well, we can, if we look it up in the break.
Figure it out later.
Yeah. Lovely. So initiative.
Ed,
20.
also as well, did you take account of the fact that Catherine rolled a natural 20, so the damage to the mirror was 26, not
I
13?
did, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've docked that.
Just making sure.
So 25 to 20. Yes.
I got a natural 20. What a waste.
Oh, amazing.
Oh,
I'm so depressed.
we're still really proud of you, Jess.
We are.
Thank you. It's so useless. I hate everything.
15 to 20.
17.
17. Okay. Lovely. 10 to 15.
11.
Yep.
11.
Okay. Who has
Hey.
the higher dex? Is it Terra?
Mine's +2.
Mine's +2.
who wants to go first out of the two of you?
Do you?
Shall I go first so that... no, if you go first
shall I go
so
first?
that we can
Yeah.
flank it.
That's what I was going to say. Yes.
Yes.
The old flanking. that we
The old
used to do.
switcheroo.
The old switcheroo.
Flank and flank.
The old
And
flanky-roo.
what did you get, Ariana?
Natural 1.
Oh no!
Hey, look at it this way. At least you got the natural one out of the way now. So
Yeah.
And also the only thing that a natural one does on initiative rolls is make you last. It doesn't
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't
be
bug you
another
over or
deficit.
anything.
You don't miss a go or anything.
Yeah.
That would suck.
you don't trip over your own shoelace or something.
So yeah.
Lovely. So the order is as follows. It is Scarlet,
Hate going first.
Run, get away.
Then-
None of us are going to get a go. She's just going to destroy it.
Yeah.
then it is Rebecca,
Oh, she's on our side. Cool.
Well, we hope so.
We don't know.
then it is the Bone Claw, then it is Zini, then Dalafar, Terra, and Oriana. So, top of the round. Scarlet, what would you like to do?
Okay, so I'm going to try the exact same thing I tried the last time this thing happened. And I would like to cast Catapult, which means it will need to do a dex saving throw.
Okay.
Is it out of the mirror now? Sorry.
It's halfway through, so yeah,
The mirror is
it's
still standing.
yeah, like it's quite a large mirror. Even cut in half, but yeah, the creature is slowly crawling its way out. That is a 12, Jess.
I had to beat a 14, so that's
Okay.
When a wizard laughs like that, you should be very, very careful.
Let me just do some maths right now.
No, that's okay.
Okay. She got someone else to do this for me. 10, 18, 20, 23. Okay, 24 points of damage.
Jesus. Okay.
So my 1/4 level gone.
So what are you catapulting?
Catapulting. Some glass. Why not? Let's just be ironic about it.
So you all watch
Glass.
as Scarlet sort of backs away a little bit, and Juliet as well is just sort of between her legs, and you watch as she brings her wooden spoon aloft into the air, and glass just floats all around you in an ominous circle as you all just watch as it into the center of the room, and you just hear this as the creature just is impacted by shard after shard after shard. You see bits of bone breaking off. It took a chunk out of it. It's bits of skin are falling off.
I very much enjoy Scarlet's policy of you put your face through a mirror, I put the mirror in your face.
It is Rebecca's turn. She's just going to make a wisdom
can
saving.
I also
Scarlet,
move
yeah. I was going to
slightly
say.
back? I'm going to move on the stairs a bit. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Lovely. So she's going to make a wisdom saving throw, which she succeeds. So she, and you all watch as she's sort of shuddering and holding her head in her hands. She is going to. She's going to start. She starts whispering, and it starts filling the chamber around you as she's whispering and whispering, and she seems to be recounting the night of when she was murdered. She's going, "You tore us apart, you tore my soul apart," and the and you see her specifically directing this at the bone claw as it's coming out, and you see the bone claw's head just and it seems to shrug it off, and Rebecca once again just sort of starts in as a terrified tone of voice, just slowly whispering to herself, and she backs away up into the corner of the room. She looks terrified. The bone claw starts pulling itself out until eventually it has used its movement to once again float in front of you, and it takes you all in, and it looks at you, Oriana, and it gestures to its skull and just says, "You should take solace in the fact that once you are all dead in this tomb, yours will not be the last death in Baldur's Gate tonight." And slowly she moves forward and it's going to attack you. With a natural 20, I'm afraid. So that is... sorry, maths. That is 26 points of slashing damage. Piercing damage, sorry. And you are now considered grappled as the bone claw just grabs around your head and pulls you in towards it. And with its spare hand, it is going to try and make another attack against you, which it fails with a 4. So it swipes down at you, and you just manage to dodge your head out of the way as you just hang there in the air. That's all it's going to do for now. Zini, it's your go.
Okay. Am I in its combat range?
You are, yes.
Okay. Can I try to cast Hunter's Mark on it and see if it
go
will
for it.
work? With my magic being weird.
does it need to succeed on anything, or?
Let me see, because it's been a while. I can't remember things. Yeah, Oh no, it just happens.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you reach out.
Well, maybe we'll see.
You reach out and trying to push back everything that has been happening to you over the last couple of days, your magic going haywire, things not working as they should. You reach out and you concentrate and you close your eyes. And as your feet connect with the ground, you can feel life throbbing beneath it. You can feel dirt and root and soil, and everything becomes clear. And you open your eyes and you cast Hunter's Mark on the creature. You feel it flowing through you, and you see this strange outline in the middle of the bones. Your spell has worked.
Cool. And then I hit it with an arrow.
Okay.
Well, like not even
I try.
not even like in a bow. You just like
Not even the sharp end, just like the side.
Just tickle it with the feather.
Go to sleep. That is 21 to hit.
That hits. Roll for damage.
Okay, so because it's Hunter's Mark, it's an extra d6 on top of the d8.
Mm-hmm.
10 points of piercing damage.
10 points of piercing damage. Your arrow connects, and while it does hit the ribs, doesn't seem to do as much damage as you'd like, but it does hurt it.
I attack it again.
Okay.
With more vigor.
Dirty 20.
Amazing.
Yay!
Roll for damage.
Hunter's Mark is only on the first attack, I think.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Ooh. I still hit it for 11 though, because I rolled better on the d8 this time.
11. Okay. Yeah, it's you're chipping away at it, slowly but sure. As you just loose 2 arrows, you are invigorated by this sudden, quite clear connection that you have with your magic at this stage.
I made a mistake. Hunter's Mark is whenever I hit it with a weapon attack.
Okay, good.
So that's another 2.
Another 2. Okay. Okay, lovely. So, Dalafar, it's your go. Unless there's anything you want to do on your turn, Zini?
No, because it'll hit me if I'm trying to move, so I'm gonna...
Okay. So, Dalafar, your go.
I am going to swing at it with my axe, but before I do...
Mm-hmm.
1 second, where's it gone?
To a place.
There was something I wanted to do, and I can't remember what it was. Hang on a second. Action surge. I'd like to action surge, please.
Okay.
Right. So 4 attacks coming right up. Give me 1 second. Right. First attack. Okay, so it's looking at Oriana.
Yes,
facing
it's
Oriana.
currently holding Oriana up in midair, and it has its other claw out to strike again.
Okay. In that case, I would like to just swing at its. It hasn't got knees, so I can't do my trademark. So I'm going.
It has knees, but they're not connecting with the ground. So.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to attack it. Let's go for their head.
So you can roll at advantage because it's flanked by both Zini and Terra.
Yes, please. So 22.
22, that hits. Roll for damage.
13.
13, okay.
That's 1 attack.
Okay. You have so much fun with this, don't you, Billy?
I love this action surge so much.
That's just 1.
That's just 1.
I'm a quarter of the way through my go.
Just
action surge.
just a warm up. Right,
Sure.
So second attack. Oh no! Oh, it's at advantage, isn't it?
Is that advantage?
Oh god, thank you. So I rolled a 10.
Okay, like with nothing added, or?
That's with everything added. I rolled a 2.
Okay,
Oh.
that misses, unfortunately. So your second blow swings wide. Do you want to roll for your other 3 attacks? Other 2 attacks?
2. Okay. So that's 22.
That hits. Roll for damage.
7.
7, okay.
And my last attack. 16.
16 just hits. Roll for damage.
That is 12.
12, okay.
Yeah, that's. I'm not going to move. I'm going to stay where I am. Oh, actually, where am I? If I move, it's going to take an attack of opportunity, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stay where I am.
Okay, sure. So you all watch as Dalafar just lets loose this whirlwind of blows, and you make eye contact with Oriana, just in a kind of maybe mind your head kind of way, as you just like, and Oriana, you're just, oh god, okay, as blade are just smashing into the bone, and bits and flecks of splinters of marrow are just coming right off. Terra, it is your go.
How healthy is the mirror?
It's not looking great. I mean, it already wasn't looking great when you came in, but yeah.
Looking less great than it was.
Let's try and go out with a bang.
Okay.
Thunderous Smite as a bonus, and then I'll hit the mirror.
Okay, roll for an attack.
As a non-moving object,
Yes.
do I just roll normal, or what's the deal?
I'll say, I'll say because it's more about whether you're able to damage it rather than hit it necessarily. So,
But surely the damage is separate, isn't it?
but it's like whether you're able to hit it with any meaningful impact.
Right.
To,
Yeah. I got you. Okay. 14.
14. That just hits. Roll for damage.
That mirror is dodgy. Okay, so normal damage is 5.
Mm-hmm.
Thunder damage, hang on, is 2d6. 9.
9.
And also, it says if the target is a creature, it must succeed on a strength saving throw,
Yeah.
or be pushed 10 feet away from you and knocked prone.
It's not a creature.
But as an object, is it not saying, because it's a creature, it has to do a saving throw? So maybe because it's not a creature, it doesn't have to do a saving throw.
I mean, all I will say is that as you bring your sword down, it shatters apart. Glass and bone fly everywhere, and you all just instinctively bring your arms up to cover your eyes, but the mirror seems to be gone. It seems to be in pieces on the ground.
And then can I just move slightly so that I'm between the bone claw and Rebecca, so that the eye line is broken?
Yeah.
If that like.
I mean,
covers her.
she's currently like up here.
Is she?
Yeah, she's up in the
So
ceiling
that
at this
doesn't
stage.
do anything. I'll just stay where I was.
Okay. So, Oriana, it is your go.
Okay.
So you're currently being grappled by this creature, holding you in place.
That doesn't give me a disadvantage, does it? Like, I mean, I can't move. Well, my moving speed is half, is it?
You can't move.
You have to break free of the
You
grasp.
have to break free, yeah. So you have to just make a straight
I
strength check.
believe,
Oh,
can you
right,
not?
okay.
You could try to
Sorry.
attack, but it would be at a disadvantage. So
Yes.
it's basically
Right,
whether you
okay.
use your action to try and escape or to try and attack anyway, but at disadvantage.
Okay.
Because
I'll just try to escape.
Okay. Make a.
Because we're flanking, would that not cancel out the disadvantage?
I guess it would.
It's your ruling, but I'm just.
Yeah, I'm just thinking because rather than combat, it is about you not being able to move your arms. So if you want to try and escape, make a strength check for me.
That's a 7.
7. Unfortunately, you are in its grasp, and it tightens as it just bends its head to you and continues grinning its ever-present grin. Scarlet, top of the round, your go.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to take the easy way out. In a situation like this, you just need some magic missile. You don't even have to roll.
I thought you were about to say, I take the easy way out and I run up the stairs.
No, she's not that self-centered.
No, she literally just stops her. I take the easy way out. No, really, the easy way out to the top of the stairs.
Yeah, just like I leisurely stroll and someone behind me.
I'll meet you back at the dripping tap later. Bye.
I just need to find a new adventuring party. It's fine.
And Granny Fungus seems like a good start. So.
She really does.
Oh my god, the adventures of Scarlet and Granny Fungus. Yes.
Do you think she's like a barbarian or something?
Yeah.
Secretly.
No, with that voice, she's definitely a bard.
I think she could be a bard.
Yeah.
Sort of
Barbarian.
The voice of an angel. So I basically need to roll 5 d4s for this.
Okay.
Very drunk angel.
So, hold on. 6, 10, 13, 15 plus 5, 20.
20. Whew. It's not looking good. Anything else you want to do on your turn?
No, I don't think I'll run up the stairs. Is Juliet okay? I'm guessing she's followed me.
Yeah, Juliet's okay. She's just
feet.
hiding behind your dress and just like looking round occasionally and just like pawing at your dress. But yeah, seems okay.
That's good.
So you will watch as the room is suddenly illuminated by these globules of light, which again, much like the glass from earlier, all just smash into this creature's ribcage, and you see it sort of, for the first time in this fight, suddenly start to look very uncomfortable as it looks down at the shattered mirror on the ground around it. It is now Rebecca's turn, so she, still from where she is, she's going to try the same thing again. And succeeds as this whisper suddenly becomes a scream as she just, "You killed my father!" And let's just, it doesn't do a lot, but as
very emotional though.
As it takes 4 points of psychic damage.
A little help.
It's gonna make you suddenly see the Bone Claw's hand, which is poised to strike Oriana, suddenly turn around in front of its face and slam its head into its long, bony claws, which will cause it. 20 points of damage. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Stop hitting yourself.
Forgotten
Stop hitting
that
yourself.
Rebecca could do that. It is now the Bone Claw's turn. So, looking around at the ground and all of you surrounding it, the shadows start to move in a very similar way to that which you have seen before, as it just looks around, and were it not for the frozen expression on its face, you could swear you can see panic starting to set in. Bits are falling off, and it just looks at Oriana, and it looks down at the necklace around your neck and just, "You're coming with me," and it is going to teleport.
Damn it!
Does it sound like Thomas?
You can't understand what it's saying.
Okay.
Only Oriana.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Okay.
Towards it's like.
Exactly like that.
It's going to. You watch as the shadows just disappear from the room and seem to make the place even blacker until it just convulses in the point where it was, and suddenly, Scarlet, you see this presence just appear right next to you. So, can everyone make a Constitution saving throw for me, please?
Oh yeah, I'm good at those.
I am not.
Ah, sugar crumbs.
Go back to. I'm not doing the D4.
Frickin' frick! What is with my roll?
Oh, phew. Okay, phew.
So, you are actually all right, Oriana, because you are being held by. So you watch as your image, just kind of like the room around you, just suddenly becomes this spiral staircase, and you see Scarlet in front of you, like wide-eyed, and Juliet like. What did everybody roll?
25.
7.
Okay.
8.
I managed a miracle 19.
19. So Terra and Scarlet, you're okay. Dalifar and Zini, you take. Doesn't roll too well.
Good.
Like the tone that Ed is taking.
Yeah.
He knows.
Also, can we just appreciate that even with my -1, Zini beat Dalifar in a Constitution saving throw?
Yeah, what did
bad.
you roll, Billy?
A 3. I've got +4 to Constitution saving.
I rolled a 9 and I have -1.
So that's 23 points of necrotic damage. And so Oriana is also there, although actually it needs to be to a spot it can see, so it is just near the entrance right in front of you, Scarlet, and you all
I should have gone to the door.
you all feel as there is a darkness that seems to wrap itself around you. Terra and Scarlet, you manage to shrug it off, but Zini, you feel this pull from the center of your chest, and same for you, Dalifar. It is like something is tearing at your heart and pulling it out, and you feel it clump against your ribcage. You are, however, all right. But
Did we get attacks of opportunity, or does that not happen if it's...
no, because it's just literally disappeared from the space. We are back to you, Zini.
Okay, so we can see it.
You can see it, yes?
Okay, I run over to it and I try and hit it with my bladed longbow.
Okay, roll to attack.
Okay. It's not with advantage because... so
Scarlet.
Scarlet's
behind it.
just in front of it, yeah.
Good, because I rolled a 3 on the first one.
Okay.
And I rolled a 3 on the second one, so
God
good.
damn
That
it.
misses.
So as you run forward, you find yourself staggering a little bit as this recent attack has taken a lot out of you, and you run forward and you stagger as you try and stop it from hurting both Oriana and Scarlet as you bring your blade down, and it just bounces through the skin-like cloth that is hanging down from its waist.
I'm
Is
going
there
to attack it again.
Okay.
That's better. 23.
That hits. Roll for damage.
Okay. Ones on both of them. So that will be 6 piercing damage.
How would you like to dispatch the battle?
Yeah! With ones on both of the dice. So, with the first miss, I assume that the bladed longbow is like on the floor.
Yeah, you sort of like, you've staggered down a little bit, and it is currently just resting next to you as Oriana looks down at you, and Scarlet is looking at the creature, very panicked, wide-eyed fear in her eyes.
So, it's facing the other way, presumably?
Yes, it is. It's facing away from you.
So I just flick a little bit of dust off the floor with the blade of the sword, and then curl the blade round and just stab it in the back of the skull.
You watch as Scarlet, you just see from behind the skull just explodes from the back, and whatever evil black light there is in its eyes whispers away as it just and it slowly falls down to the ground. Oriana, you are still in its grip as it falls to the ground, and as you lie on the floor with it next to you, its bones crumbling away, its head just leans over to yours, and its jawbone seems to detach from the skull, and it just... You are still too late. And it just falls still. And that's where we'll take our break. Hi, I'm Ed, DM of Dungeon Manager, and thank you so much for watching. Please give us a like, give us a subscribe, and if you want to see more, check out our Twitter and our Patreon. All of that is linked in the description below. Anyway, that's enough from me. Back to everyone else. We're back. As always, please leave us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Click the bell icon as well. For some reason, that extra helps the channel out. Yeah. Thank you so much. And we'll get right back into it. So, you are beneath the Temple of Gond, in the Shrine of the Bone Cadre, and in front of you lie the remains of the Bone Claw. And in the center of the room, the remains of the Marrow Glass. And as Rebecca floats in the ceiling, slowly drifting down to ground level, what is everyone wanting to do?
Can I pick through the remains and see if there's any clues?
Make an investigation check for me.
And I'd like to do the same, but for the bodies that were already in here.
Okay, make an investigation check.
Has the skull survived?
The back of it is completely exploded out, but the front of it, kind of quite similar to a mask actually, is lying on the ground facing Oriana.
I would like to pick up the skull.
Okay. Zini, what did you roll? Oh, okay. Looking through...
I'm not good at investigating. I should just give up.
Looking through, you're still feeling a little bit woozy even after this last show of strength, but you sort of steady yourself against the steps and half-heartedly pick through the bones. Tara, what did you roll?
Oh. Oh no! Natural one.
Yeah.
The bodies.
For the benefit of our podcast.
The bodies are myriad, and over time, especially, they have become atrophied, and they are disgusting and decayed. Like as you lean down to search through them, the smell just delves into your nostrils. It is unpleasant.
Billy, did you take that earring in the end?
I did, yes.
You did? Okay.
So we just rolled, I rolled a 2 and Catherine, you rolled a 1 on our investigation checks. We're great.
Yeah.
You just really joined up together.
Yeah.
I give I'll help Oriana up by offering, like the heroes sort of clasp to
Beastmaster.
And
Dalafar offers his hand to you, Oriana.
I scowl at it for a moment, and then I take it.
Her bandaged forearm clasps yours, Dalafar, and you pull her up.
I then hand her the earring and say, "Can you keep this safe in the bag, please?"
Yeah. Thanks.
Go on.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, is the other skull in the bag of holding?
No, I have it.
Oh, Tara has it. Okay.
I can put it in there though. And my inventory is very large.
I will let Dalafar
2
speak,
pages.
and then I will speak.
In video games, you would be encumbered.
Yeah, I would.
You are traveling too fast to run.
That happens to me in video games all the time.
Yeah, literally in Skyrim, constantly.
Yeah, just like trying to get somewhere. What was it, Ed? You were
But I
doing
need
last time
all
with Skyrim?
these
You were like,
dragon
I'm so
bits."
nearly there.
Yeah, last time I played Skyrim, I was so determined to sell all of the dragon bones I just had. I think I walked for a solid half hour because I couldn't fast travel. So I was just slowly walking
so
to
funny.
Winterrun, just
I mean, to be fair, I have done that as well. When you have all the dragon bone, you're just like, no, I cannot give any of it up. I must walk. And then like 2 hours later, you're like, I must continue walking.
It's what companions are for. You're just like, carry all this dragon bone for me.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Divinity Original Sin. I was like looking around for stuff, found a torso, and was like, "Ooh, I wonder if there's any like clues on the torso." But instead, it just picks up the torso. Tree. And I was like, "I don't want a torso."
It's because elves can eat it and relive memories.
Yeah. I was just like, "Ugh."
Right. So, encumbrance aside, Scarlett, was there something you're wanting to do with the skull?
Yes.
And the one I have. Or the other one.
I turned to Terra. I've forgotten where we all are physically in the room.
You're all kind of bunched around a little bit.
Yeah.
I've just given up looking at bodies.
Yeah.
So.
And I go, Terra, do you have the other skull on you still?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I shall look in my armpits.
It's all my bags.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought you were looking
Empty
in like
bags.
you have like a jerkin with like little pockets and like how do you fit a skull into one of the...
So yeah, she hands over the skull cleft in two at the back by Oriana.
We just love breaking skulls, don't we? It's our favourite thing. Okay, I would like to look at both skulls. And what I'm trying to ascertain is, and I think, Scarlett's dealt with a lot of, skinning rabbits and stuff. Like every skull and bone is individual to the person it's made of, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to see, are these two skulls a carbon copy of each other? Or do they appear to have come from different sources?
Make a nature check for me.
Cool.
Wow.
Making my way downtown, walking fast. Oh, my nature's not terrible. Okay, that is an 11.
11. As far as you can tell, they look the same. You trace your hand over the ridges around the eyes, which seem to come out further than those of a human. And the contours of the skull seem to be the same. You look at lines within the skull as well, potential cracks. Seems, if not similar, almost identical.
I am very suspicious. I say, I mean, from what we read of the bone claws, they're creatures from a plane of hell that are made via necromancy. So you would think each of them would be different, their own unique creature, just as, and I gestured to the various bodies and various states of decay around the room, just as each of these bodies are different. And yet these skulls look very similar to me.
So do you think that they weren't made from different dead things like necromancy would be?
I mean, I have to say, I've never really explored necromancy personally. In cooking, you often want the thing dead. You don't want it back alive again. It's fairly useless, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, my initial guess would be either they are from the same source, or they're a little more artificial than a bone claw would usually be. I mean, it appears to have some sort of, what's the word, sort of intelligence behind it. I mean, I don't know exactly how you took it, Oriana, but it seemed very focused on you, and it was grunting quite frantically, I believe.
Yeah, what did it say?
Remind me again what it said.
I can tell you, I wrote it all down.
Terra tells her.
But I mean, Ed, feel free.
So it said to you that after you all lie dead in this temple, yours will not be the only death this night. It also seemed to recognize the symbol around your neck.
forgot that bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I say what he just said, and it seemed to recognise the symbol around my neck, as Rebecca suggested.
I hurriedly ask Tara, can I have the sending stone?
Yeah, I give it straight over.
In the message, because Mary would speak common. Was it Mary? Marianne? Mary.
Mary, yep.
I put in. I send a message saying, "You are not safe with Thomas. Be very vigilant and keep yourselves safe." I think that's how many? 14 minutes. I think
So
that's
like 25 words.
It's 25 words. I think. Yeah. Let me just
like 11.
Let me write it down. Come back to me in just a second. Let me just write that down just to make sure I use the full 25.
That's okay.
I mean, we made sure there were no mirrors, but obviously they're now in his house where he probably has at least one big mirror. So.
Yes.
I doubt he'd want to kill them, though.
Yeah.
I think he's going to go after several.
There's a couple of things I'm thinking. I'll come back to you in just a second.
That's okay. Is there anything anyone else is wanting to do or say as Galifar?
I'm gonna go speak to the ghost lady.
Okay. She sort of is sitting against the wall, almost identical to the corpse that sits next to her very own. And she sits there, cradling her hand.
I'll just kneel down next to her. Have you heard of a Lady Severil?
She is from the upper city. My father and her were on good terms. They attended many of Lord Eidelwhents' parties. Since I was a young girl, my brother and I were always taken with my father to mingle.
Was she ever involved in this?
Never.
Okay.
Can I walk over to Terra and lean down and ask, probably a long shot, but I don't know whether it would be worth asking about Osterfargate.
Yeah. Feel free.
But I'm so shy.
Character development, do it.
I'm just watching
firstly, I will say, you were right about my amulet. Do you think that it would be wise for me to keep it hidden around Thomas?
If he sees it, I do not know for what reason, but the one time I have seen that symbol was only in passing. I do not know if I was meant to see it, but the Bone Cadre seemed to want to snuff it out. I would imagine wearing such a symbol around your neck would make you a target.
And can you remember who else was there? When you
My father and other members of the cult, many of whom line the floor of this room.
Does the name Ossifargate mean anything to you?
She pauses for a moment and seems to close her eyes, and even as her eyelids close, the white of her eyes seems to glimmer through.
It is not a name I know.
Would I, in terms of timeline, so how old does she look? Because presumably she looks as old as she was when she died.
Well, for context, so she said that when Carmichael died, her father became the leader of this particular sect, and she was inducted into the cult around that time. And her father was a leader in the sect for a year before being murdered. So you can ascertain this probably happened around 9 years ago.
So would she be roughly the same age as Thomas?
No, looking at her, I mean, it's hard to tell as her skin sort of shifts in and out, but she seems fairly young.
Okay, so would she have been alive when the newer temple... Is this right? So this is the older one. And then there's this is the newer one.
The older one is in the Temples district.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to ask her, do you know any reason that Thomas would want to renovate the temple over there, whatever it's called?
He renovated this one. His father, that is, to be a shrine, to desecrate the name of God. I expect if his eye has turned to another, he would look to do the same again.
Why does he want to desecrate the name of God?
It is not just about worship. For the Bone Cadre, it is about mocking and satirizing the very notion of faith itself. Be under no assumptions that the Marrowborn exist only in this city. They exist across Faerun. Gond is not their only target. There will be other temples desecrated like this one before you.
Does Thomas particularly not like Gond?
He comes from a family of architects. What better dedication to the gods he serves than to mock the god of invention and creation?
So, are they anti-religion?
They are against all that is good and true, and they seek to corrupt that which is good and pure. Evil exists, even in its purest form.
I'm going to turn back to everyone else. It sounds like there might be... we might need to go with some urgency if this thing told us that we're too late and that there's something else happening tonight.
Can we get, presuming that it's Lady Several that they've gone after, can we even get into the upper city tonight?
I don't know, but I think we might have to try.
Then we've got to go through the tunnel again.
What sort of time of night would it be, Ed?
You,
It's quite early, wasn't it?
I believe you entered the temple around 6:30. So I'd say, all things considered, it's probably around 7, quarter past.
Okay, cool. So it's not crazy late.
Still past curfew though.
Yeah.
Yay!
Okay, and then geographically speaking, we've got to make it to the, assuming we went this way, to the tunnel system, and then from there to Lady Several's. Is that a long way?
Well, Sea Tower, which is where the tack room is placed, is the district directly next to the one you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you know your way around the undercellar, and you could probably make your way through. Once you get to the other side, you don't know where Lady Several's house is.
I thought we had directions because.
Oh,
Billy,
no, of course you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you'd probably be able to find your way, certainly from where you came out of.
Because Thomas gave them to us, which is another thing that doesn't add up. Because why did he agree to hire us to investigate this?
Well, he probably thought we were incompetent.
So, how are we going to get there?
Run through the tunnels.
Has Dalifar heard anything back from Mary?
I'm going to tell you the message that I'm going to. That I would respectfully have sent and just.
Have you? So you have sent it.
I'm going to say for this one, but I'll tell you what I did say in it. But I have sent it.
Yeah. Okay.
There is a very loud child outside. That's not in character.
Suddenly, a child wanders down the staircase.
Oriana tenses up immediately.
Sorry, waiting for me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no!
I was okay. So,
or we could go straight to Thomas's and destroy that mirror.
If it's there.
But if he's using it.
But he might not have it in his house.
Yeah.
It's quite suspicious to have a skeleton mirror in your house.
I could at least try to locate it.
Yeah.
How close do you have to be to do that?
Okay.
It could be in the house. I mean, he likes secret doorways, apparently. So he presumably designed his own house.
Within 1,000 feet.
Oh,
okay. That's less than 25 words. That's the best I'm going to do. So I sent the message through the sending stone. I said, Thomas is lying. Stay safe and vigilant. There are more creatures. Do not tell him anything. Alert Fridolf. No mirrors.
Very succinct.
There is.
I like the idea that you're sitting there, like writing stuff and then copying it out.
Furiously scribbling away.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There is
scribbling stuff out.
A pause, Dalifar, as you wait, and as the rest of you finish your conversation, you turn to Dalifar as he finishes speaking this into the stone, and there is a pause, and it continues, and it continues. All right. I'll let Fridolf know. We'll lock the doors. Stay safe. Keep Terra safe.
I mean, Fridolf might well be part of it, but...
Yes, I just had that thought. If the leadership was passed on father to son, it unfortunately might be the case that Fridolf...
But, like you said, Zini, I don't think that he'll want to hurt Mary, I would have thought. The worst thing that could happen, surely, is that they then just target us.
Yeah.
Particularly now that they know about the symbol, and Thomas will have seen it when we met him first.
Yeah.
Hmm.
How prominent is the symbol, Diani?
It's definitely recognizable to anyone who would know it.
So you have it it's visible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a necklace.
Mm.
And it's probably like
Yeah.
a medallion
Yeah.
size. Okay.
I'm gonna ask Oriana, what does the symbol mean?
It's the symbol for Azil, for the deity that I follow.
Do you have any idea why they might be particularly afraid of it?
No, I don't.
What do they stand for?
Well, he used to be evil, and then he essentially realized the error of his ways, and he isn't really a god. He apparently lives amongst us to repent for what he has done. So I don't know why they would fear him.
When you say he used to be evil, what did he used to be? Was he a devil? Or...
You just chat amongst yourselves for a moment. Reading.
In the meantime, I relay the message saying Mary is aware, and she will lock the doors and try and keep herself and Fridos safe. But we should move as soon as possible because we are wasting time.
Yeah. So whilst Ariana's thinking, should we start moving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can read to you what I have written here.
Please do. Well, let's. we can be listening to you as we sort of head out.
I mean, which way are we go? We go towards Lady Several's or thingy?
I'd say Lady Several's.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We may be too late, but
yeah,
we gotta try.
So, as you're walking out, Rebecca just looks up at all of you and seems to melt back against the wall and just cross her arms and look down at the ground and the corpses around her.
I turn around and let everyone else walk on ahead, and I come back and say, we will come back and put you to rest.
She looks at you.
I fear it is far too late for that. But I thank you, Master Dwarf.
Lady Rebecca. I nod and then head up the stairs.
Okay.
What was the surname? You said what her father's surname was. What was it?
Vyseth. So V-Y-S.
Let me just find where I wrote Rebecca. Oh, there's so many notes.
Lordrup.
Okay. Yeah.
So V-Y.
Yeah.
S-E.
Yeah.
T-H.
Vyseth.
Okay.
Is that a name that have we heard that at all?
I don't think so.
No.
No, I don't think you have.
think so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Is it story time?
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, sorry.
Sounds like me.
No, never mind. Continue, Oriana.
So
sorry.
disappointing.
Are you sure?
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
Okay.
I was trying to cast my mind back to like several months ago, but
Ed starts
literally,
rolling
that's what-
dice.
I'm slightly concerned that I'm going to say something that like I shouldn't say, but so okay. So Azil started out as an abyssal tiefling in life. He was a sword for hire for someone called Pestis Zalen, who was a powerful necromancer. After his master's failed attempt to ascend to godhood, Azil found himself transformed into a greater demon. He butchered his way up the demon hierarchy, gaining new powers over death. The gods, seeing the threats that he had become and seeking to appease him, made him a lesser god. Upon joining the gods and seeing the chaos that he had wrought, Azil decided to help undo the damage he had done by way of repentance. He disappeared to the mortal plans, though his true appearance is unknown, with some believing him to be a tiefling, perhaps a dragonborn. He currently resides hidden amongst the mortals, atoning for his sins.
That necromancer name, was that the same necromancer as was in the book?
Yes.
Had you told us that already?
Probably not.
Okay. How do holy symbols work? Like, if you just drew a symbol, would it be still like a cool, would it be anything more than just an image? Like, is there power in the image, or is it the fact that it's like been specially imbued with magic or something?
Make an Arcana check.
It's not good. It's a 2.
You are unsure. You have not had a lot of exposure to religions, or most definitely not a lot of exposure to gifts given through faith. Hard to tell.
So I'm going to ask that exact question to Oriana then.
So tell me the question again.
So does a symbol on its own have power, or is your symbol that you have around your neck powerful because it's been
imbued with magic,
given special abilities?
So out of character. So my understanding would be that my symbol that is around my neck is imbued with you know, I can't just draw a symbol up.
Yeah.
Like I have to actually have something specific, because I have there are instances where I will use my holy symbol in attacking, and if I don't have the amulet, then I can't do it.
So with the symbol alone, the image of the symbol alone wouldn't be enough to just, I don't know, if you drew it on a door, would it stop something from going through the door, or is it useless?
I don't actually know the answer to that question. I don't know whether Oriana would know the answer to that.
Make a religion check.
That is a 19.
19. As far as you know, you're not sure. All you know is that once you adopted this symbol, you found it to be a conduit of sorts. Yeah. You don't know how, you don't know why, but you can't imagine that doing something to a door or anything would imbue it with anything additional.
It's not like, I suppose I'm thinking of vampires and crucifixes.
Yeah. Can't just break the leg off a chair and
yeah. Okay. So we're heading back towards the undercellar. I'm gonna no, I'll do that later. Carry on.
So you head out of the shrine, and you come once more into the changing room. There is a latch which allows you to unlock it from the inside, and as it opens, you find yourself once again in the wooden booth. And you peek out. Are you trying to be stealthy about exiting, or?
Probably. It'd look a bit weird if all of us come out.
Yeah. Maybe we should go in reverse order.
Okay, so if everyone makes a stealth check for me.
Ooh.
At disadvantage for Oriana and Dalifar.
Oh, God damn it. Oh, crying out loud.
But remember, you can take Zini's one.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take Azini's.
The first one was 18.
Yeah, my first one was 16.
And then now it's 9.
And now mine's 6.
What did everyone else roll?
10.
Oh,
10?
Yeah.
Me!
I know. Been rolling well on the attacks, but not so much on everything else today.
Scarlet and Tara?
24.
17.
17. So, Tara, you come out sort of silent as the grave, and you slowly move out. You note that everything's clear. And as you move out, and Scarlet comes out behind you, soft dress, sort of gliding against the edges of the booth. There is a... as the other three sort of clearly, like, with this sort of bunched up queue that is formed, all sort of stumble out a bit. And you can see at cleaning the altar at the end of the temple, the gnome high priestess from earlier just looks around and just quite quizzically looks at all of you just frozen outside of this booth as you, I assume, fairly quickly move on.
I'm just going to be like, and then leave.
Make sure on the way to stumbling outside, at least you pull you push.
Oh yeah, close the door.
Yeah, push the door closed. Yeah.
Okay, so you're able to do that, and each of you sort of making your apologies as you leave, sort of stumble out. Yes.
Does Ariana have the cape that was in the costume thingy?
You did.
I'm wondering if we should actually leave it as evidence or not.
I mean, there's many of those in the crypt below.
Yes, but as proof that it was Carmichael's cape, I guess. But...
Well,
I guess there's proof enough.
Yeah, I think so.
I've got it anyway, just in case.
Yeah.
There's still the helmet on the stand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you make your way out of the temple, and you're walking for a bit, and you see Rudigan waiting for you outside, just... and you quickly make your way from Bloomridge to Sea Tower. It is quieter now. There is much less business going on. Yes, Michael.
Rudd won't fit in the undercellar.
No, he won't.
So can I ask him just to go back to the dripping tap and wait for us there?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. He nods and stumbles off in the direction of the steeps as you all leg it towards the tack room, which eventually comes into view once more with the symbol of upside down horseshoe emblazoned, and you go in, and there are a number of patrons sat around, and at the bar once more there is Mikey, who greets you and says, "God, it's been a while, how are you all?"
No time, Mikey. We need to go.
All right. So, as the usual amount of gold, if you please. And
1 gold, was it?
yes, 1 gold. And
Okay.
As he opens up the hatch for you to go down, he looks at each of you and just goes, "Today password is Chimera."
How do you spell that?
Chimera.
Yeah.
And as you're going down, Terra, your customary wisdom saving throw for me, please.
Okay. Okay, that's good. 18.
18. Driven
Now's
on
not
by
the time to be stopped.
driven on by adrenaline, you just launch yourself down the ladder, and everyone follows suit. So, are you making your way straight through the undercellar to the upper city tunnels?
Yeah.
So you make your way through. It is still just as packed and heaving as it usually is. It seems the undercellar is a place that never sleeps. But you keep going through, and you see a number of cellars standing around, keeping guard. You see a couple of familiar faces in the merchants over in some of the tunnels, but you continue onwards. as you do so, you eventually find yourself at a very familiar iron door. There are two cellarers stood outside, and they just look down at you, batons in hand, and just raise an eyebrow.
We need to get through, please.
Okay. Opens the door for you, and you step through once more into a dark, long tunnel, and you are met once again by the deep gnome, sat to one side, just looks up at you. 10 gold!
I just give him the 10.
Do we all have enough?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, step up! And you see at the other side of the large gaping hole in the floor a number of shadowy silhouettes on the other side, and once again the platforms slowly make their way across to the side that you're on. If everyone just makes a strength check for me.
Please, can the guy that's following Oriana currently be walking through the gates into the lower city as we're going back in?
Oh, I was thinking this earlier, thinking, wait,
Oh my
he just
goodness.
got through there, so we're
Yeah.
just...
What are we doing? Strength or
Yeah.
athletics? Okay.
It's a 17.
Dirty 20.
Before I roll,
Yes?
I would like to. I want to have levitate on for the entire time I'm going across, but holding on to the pole.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Not a problem.
I can still do
22.
a strength saving throw.
Okay.
13.
13.
I got a 10 on my. So that was probably a good idea.
I would say, because you are levitating yourself, you're mainly using that to hold like Juliet close to you. You are all able to eventually make your way across to the other side, where you are met by a number of individuals, and you can see the white dragonborn with spines down his back look over at you all and just, it's been a short, it's been a short hot sec. Out of the upper city so soon.
Nice to see you. Gotta go.
All right.
Yeah, we're just going to walk straight past.
Yeah, we're just gonna go.
As you do, his hacking cough just fills the tunnel as you continue on, and you are met with another deep gnome who just opens the door for you, and you go out. You are up into the upper city once more through the manhole cover. I assume you're headed straight for Lady Several.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the way, can I cast Cure Wounds on myself at 2nd level?
Sure thing.
And try it, because my magic seems to be working quite well, I'll try and rely on it again.
Okay. Okay, as you touch yourself...
That's not a good okay.
on the chest, and you're all running forward. You all notice as once again, and Zena, you do notice this because your hands are moving back and forth as you're running. Once again, you just see saplings sprouting from your skin, your scales turning over, and you can see bark protruding from your hand as you are running, and at this stage, why not? Why wouldn't this happen as you keep running in the direction
It
of
might
Lady
be useful.
Severon's house?
I just
sorry.
curse under my breath, saying, Tiamat's tits.
You
can
now
I-
have an armor class of 16, and yes, sorry, what was that?
Well, can I, since it's after curfew, can I take everyone through all of the alleys and stuff in
Yep.
between, and like dart between shadows and stuff?
Absolutely, yeah. If
Wait
everyone
there,
makes
and then I like go ahead, and then I'm like, okay.
if everyone makes a collective stealth check one more time as you're making your way through the upper city, snow has now
Can I-
started to fall. Yes.
Am I able to assist them with that by
Yeah,
leaving?
I'd say if everyone rolls to advantage.
I have never
that-
rolled worse in my
Does
life.
does that mean me and Oriana are okay to roll at just regular, so there's no advantage, because otherwise it would be a disadvantage?
Yeah, straight roll.
I'll just take my first one then. 8. That's the first one I
21.
rolled.
3.
Okay. Zini?
3 as a straight roll.
Yep.
Slightly better, 13.
Okay.
At least you guys get to take that.
Distracted by being a tree again.
It does happen. My first roll was a 1, and my advantage made it a 2, so it's currently a 4.
So everybody's who is under 13 is a 13.
I'm a 13.
Yay!
So like it's a little hard going, and certainly as the snow is beginning to fall, and Zena, you're sort of concentrating on the fact that once again, after a very successful spellcast earlier on in the evening, you are once again made of bark, which makes you a little more conspicuous to those passing by.
I just take a finger to the bow that's slung over my back and just flick it slightly.
I'm just gonna like tap her on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, I like it. It's like we're related."
And you keep running, and Terry, you're able to guide people through. There are very few people on the street at this hour, especially with the curfew in effect. There are a number of people who are clearly headed back to their homes just over the curfew, but the most you see is City Watch, and for the most part, between you and Zini guiding everyone, you remain unnoticed. But eventually you make your way to the northernmost point of the Manor-born district, and there before you, you see a beautiful manor house. Atop weighty stone foundations, there is a towering building made of wood looming above you, painted a soft grey, its roof made of dark brown tiles, with high cross-hatched glass windows across its front, each topped with individual tapered roofs. On one side and moving all around the back of the building, you can see a trellis going from the ground level all the way up to the top. And at the building's front, you can see a large, heavy set of wooden double doors standing at the entrance. And leading up to this, a single, simple cobblestone path weaving through a garden of sculpted hedges, all of which appear to be in various states of disarray. They're fairly unkempt and clearly haven't been tended to for a while. But outside the garden, you can see a small squad of City Watch just stood guard outside the house.
Question: is the Eidelwhent house within 1,000 feet?
I'd say yes, it would be. Yeah.
Oriana, is it worth trying your locate object now, or should we wait until? I mean, how many times can you use it?
I can use it 3 times.
What was the range?
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet, okay.
I'm just thinking if it's in his house, we'd get it from here, but it also we might see other stuff as well.
Yes, okay.
Are we presumably not within 1,000 feet also of the temple, the temple's district?
You'd be far away from that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we hear any screaming coming in from that house?
Can we see or hear anything that looks untoward from where we are?
Make anyone who wants to see, make a perception check.
Okay. Come on, dice.
As you all crouch in an alleyway just across the street from where the City Watch stand.
Ooh! 17.
11.
10.
23.
How much was that, Oriana, sorry?
23.
23, okay. So, the rest of you, you're quite focused on on not being noticed by the City Watch. Dalfar, as you look up, you can see that all of the windows in the house seem dark. There doesn't appear to be much light. Until eventually, in the top floor, you see what looks to be candlelight. Orange candlelight coming from the first floor. And Oriana, as you look up, you see a figure just walking through the room, and you see that they appear to be making their way between rooms in the house. And looking through the glass, you can see this silhouette, though as you squint, you can see a few more details of them cupping a candle as they move through. You see a very thin, fairly stern-looking grey tiefling. She has very heavily lined skin and tall, twisted horns, and long black hair tied up in an ornate bun. And from what you can see, she seems to be wearing a dark red bedrobe with a heavy shawl over her shoulders, and she's just walking through the house.
Do we know that she's the only person in this household? Have we heard of it? Anyone else within it?
I don't think you've heard of her living situation at all.
Okay. But we know that the targets are the household of the people at the meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
No, go.
How far away from the house are we?
I'd say you're probably around maybe 15, probably 20 feet, garden included.
Okay. I could use, I could use detect thoughts and do a similar thing to what I did at Mary's house to see if there's anyone else in there, but that's not really going to help beyond just identifying probably non-threatening people or invisibility to get in there.
I would suggest detect thoughts first because then that'll give you an indication of whether there is a threat, and from there we can move forward.
Okay. Oriana, what do you want to do about this object spell?
I can use it. Might as well.
You want to do it now?
Yeah, I've got three uses.
Okay, well, should we all wait and see the result of that? Also, let's not all forget that it sounds like he can see us if he chooses to. So there's no hiding, really.
If there's a mirror nearby.
Well, let's find out if there's a mirror first, and then go from there.
Yeah.
So do we want to do it on the marrow glass? Yeah. Okay, I will cast.
Will it just identify the little piece of glass that you're holding?
No, it'll locate something other than
that,
I'm assuming.
Okay.
What I'm looking for is an intact mirror, which I guess would be...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do this. Yeah.
And also it lasts for 10 minutes, so even if we were to, if we move, then...
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay, so as Oriana brings out her twig and focuses on it,
love that twig.
Oriana, you feel a blazing heat in your skull, and as you turn around, it seems to move almost like a compass in your mind, and you can feel it further into the district, far away, but very much in the direction of Eidelwhent Manor.
Damning.
Okay.
It's hard to tell with any certainty, but that is the direction that you would have to walk to go there.
Okay. I will tell everyone this.
Just to make sure we completely rule it out as an option, was Mary's house also very close to that?
It was a little way over. It took.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's far enough away for it not to be coming from there. Because I'm going to be so mad if Fridolf is the bad guy.
Well, at least he's at Eidelwhent Manor, so he is in one place, the same as Thomas.
Yes, but as in if the mirror, mirror was in his house.
I would say, just considering it is like it doesn't tell you the location, you just the direction of. I think.
And that is that direction.
Sort of that vague direction.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm calling it now. I think Isabella did it.
You think
Who's
what?
that? Oh yeah, the
His wife.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, it could be both of them, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could be.
Okay, so where are the guards?
The guards are just sort of stood outside the front there, at attention, very loosely. They seem to be talking amongst themselves as they stand watch.
And is it the kind of place where I could potentially sneak around without being seen?
It is wide and open. There aren't buildings nearby, and the guards seem very much to be focused on the front of the house, so you could potentially sneak around.
Where
So
was
what
the
I'd like-
trellis?
So it's round the right-hand side of the building and then going round the back of the building as well.
Useful.
Might be a
Okay.
good idea to try and climb up that terrace.
Shall we do a similar maneuver to what we did last time?
If there's a way up the other side, well, I could climb up the back and you climb up the side if you want.
Mhm.
Do we feel like we need a distraction?
Yeah, that would be good.
Dalathon?
Well, shall I do a...
I knew before you even said anything. I was like, "Oh, god damn it, Michael."
Could you, or Ariana and Scarlet, could you maybe have a drunken argument with each other?
No,
Okay.
No.
Sorry.
I think in this situation, a
Just
little
an idea.
fire might be a better
Oh
distraction.
no.
No.
Oh,
No.
No fires.
Dalifar says
Not the
nothing.
guards, just a
Not the-
small
no.
fire on
No.
a tree.
No.
If
Not on a
really
tree.
cause-
I'm a tree.
not on you, Zini, darling. It will
Not
be
on a
fine.
tree either.
Yeah, but to
Leave
be
the
fair,
trees alone.
Scarlet's probably more in control of her magic than currently you are.
Oh.
I will stab you.
Yeah.
And I just sort of slowly raise my axe.
I'll
I
cut
feel
your
like
beard
this is
off
the
when you're
distraction,
asleep.
so I'm going. They're doing the argument thing, so I'm going around and sneaking around the side.
Okay, make a
Okay,
stealth
so-
check for me.
Could have given you a spider climb, but it's fine.
Well,
wanna-
at the moment,
do you
I'm
want to-
just doing detect thoughts, so. But I mean,
Do I notice that Terra's gone?
I think, like, sort of, it takes a little while, and you're still, like, arguing with Dalifar, but eventually you do see that Terra is sneaking off into the street. What did
Okay.
you roll, Terra?
13.
13? So, you edge out into the street, making a note of the City Watch's eyeline. Sticking close to the shadows, you slowly make your way anti-clockwise around the side of the house, seemingly undetected.
Okay, can I then, when I've noticed that Terra's gone, just say to Dalifar, hiss, we will continue this later, and run off to go try and go round the back stealthily.
Okay, make a stealth check for me. What are the rest of you doing?
I mean, it's currently, after curfew. I don't. Even if they see us, they would arrest us immediately. I think some sort of drunken argument will just get the three of us put in jail, or with some guards in not the best of positions, which won't go well when we show the letter to the captain tomorrow.
Well, there have been some extenuating circumstances, so I'm not worried about tomorrow. But right now, we need to find out if Lady Several is actually safe. So, considering that they said no to the fire distraction, I guess I'll just have to distract them myself.
Dalifar, I hate to say this, but I do not think you should go and distract them. I think we should try something a little subtler.
Which is?
I could levitate an object, a stone throwing. Is there any what's around the guards? What is the general scene? Paint me a word picture.
A word picture. So, directly
We love
behind,
those, Jess.
directly
Yes, yeah.
behind them, there is the garden, which, like I say,
Yeah.
is in a fairly dismal state of disarray. Like the branches have not been tended to. Their sculpted hedges are growing out. You swear you see a rabbit with an unintentional afro. It's like there's a lot.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's a lot going wrong in the garden. In terms of around, there's not a lot. Like, these streets are kept fairly clean.
Okay. No, I have an idea. How many guards are there?
5.
5. I'm going to choose a random one in the middle, and I'm going to cast Prestidigitation, and I'm going to make him feel really warm around his crotch area.
Yes.
So, as you watch,
You can stack it, can't you? You can stack effects.
Oh, you can do
And you can
loads.
make something soiled.
Yeah.
Oh, and an unpleasant smell.
Yes.
Yes.
so you all watch as initially the guard in the middle just gives a little, and you see his legs just come together slightly at the knees as he stands a little bow-legged, just leaning against his halberd. And then Scarlet gestures with her wand again, and you see him suddenly bring his other hand down behind him and hold his posterior, and then she flicks her wand again, and you see the guard next to him just... You all right? And the guard's like, yeah, yes, I'm just gonna go over there, and he sort of crouch walks across to another side of the street as the other four just, oh, we've got to see that, and sort of three of them peter off and just like, you haven't shit yourself, have you? As they walk off, leaving one alone, just, right, fine, I guess I'll guard the gate then. Okay. Zini, what did you roll for stealth?
Can that distraction have given me advantage, please?
I will say yes.
Thank you. You are a kind and malevolent gentleman. High rolls tonight. Oh. Good. Okay. That's a natural 20, so 24.
Yes.
So you're able to
The
run
first
past.
one was a 9.
You're able to run past and catch up with Terra fairly easily as you slowly
I
make
like
your
the
way.
idea that I'm pretending to be a tree. And just kind of
It's drama class.
yeah.
Terra, you're slowly making your way around. Are you casting?
Yeah, let me
detect?
just check the distance. What's this? It is. Here we go. 30 feet.
30 feet. Okay. So as you're moving away from the guards, you get like the last drops of thought from them. You hear one go, I only bought these trousers yesterday, as he slowly walks off, and the others being like, oh, of course it would be Dennis, as they're walking off. The one still stood in front of the house is like, right, yes, of course, me, guarding the house, always guarding the house, on my own, the only responsible one. As you're moving round the house, you're taking stock of the building, and as you look up, you can see, as Oriana did, light moving from one room to another. And you hear quite an austere voice just, and that's the bathroom clear, and through to the guest bedroom, and what was that sound? And that's all you hear.
Okay. Can I still see the other three?
I'd say from where you are, yeah, you can still see them crouching in the alleyway.
So I'm just gonna make eye contact if they're looking, and just do a quick kind of come hither. But maybe around the other side. I don't know.
Take the longer way around.
Can I also, whilst all this is happening, can I also use my low-face object again, but use it for one of the robes?
Yes, absolutely you can. You cast it again, clutching a hold of your twig, and again, a burning in your skull, emanating from the same direction as the mirror.
So nothing from...
Doesn't appear to be anything in this house that stands before you.
Did the Bone Claws wear those robes when they
No.
came out? Okay.
No.
They wore human skin, didn't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was the woman upstairs near where the trellis goes up?
It's hard to tell because you can see just candlelight moving through it, and it does bleed from room to room, but you can certainly see some coming through some of the windows that are surrounded by the trellis.
And when she stopped talking, was that because, like, was there then a significant amount of silence after that, or have I just not waited?
That's sort of when the spell ended.
Oh, right. Okay. So that was a minute's worth.
Mm-hmm.
Rubbish.
It was a considerable amount of her going from room to room and going, this is clear, and yeah.
Okay, so based on her saying what's clear, can I, and from, because I can tell where they are, can't I?
Yeah, you can see light coming through like a couple of windows as light bleeds from.
But as in the
rooms.
detect thoughts tells me where they are, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, so you would know that it is a couple of windows in.
Okay, so if we went in the trellis, that wouldn't be that room.
You'd be able to reach So you'd be able to reach the closest window to you, and then it would be maybe a room over.
Okay.
Until you got to her.
I will whisper to Zini. Sounds like she's clearing out rooms, checking that they're safe. Just before it cut off, what did she say? She said, what was that sound? She heard something, could have been us, could have been her imagination, could be something worse. But I don't think we should all go rushing in there, just in case.
Okay. Can we hear anything?
Make a perception check.
I will also do that. No.
14.
14. You don't hear anything, but as you're looking around and as you're sort of, again, taking in the bark, you find the grass from between the cobbles on this street sort of starting to curl around your toes, and looking down and sort of quite put off by this as you pull your foot up a bit, you look towards the garden that surrounds the house and you can see what look to be broken twigs running up the trellis in a single line, just up to a window on the first floor.
Tara,
Mm.
do you see twigs in a line up the trellis?
Now that you point it out, I think I do. Does it look recent to you?
Does it look recent to me?
I would say from your knowledge of tracking and going after animals, it looks like the breaks on the twigs that surround the trellis, because it's sort of like a dried out plant, especially in winter. It's not an evergreen, but it does look as though the twigs seem to have been fairly recently snapped.
Somebody else has climbed up there recently.
That's not what the bone claws do, though, is it?
No, but
They wouldn't have to climb.
There's something else going on.
While they're talking, me and Scarlet are, I take it, going a way that would not be seen by the guards, or as quickly but as stealthily as possible.
You can absolutely try.
Yes. Okay, so Scarlet, shall we?
I'm not nearby enough.
I know.
So roll for stealth and at disadvantage for yourself.
For myself, yeah.
Although,
good.
Wait, how are we getting? How are we getting there? Where are we going? Are we going over like a wall?
I think it was just around, wasn't it?
Or we're just going around there. I've lost the physical description.
So there's a garden round the outside of the house, with a small fence around the outside to hop over, but nothing you can't vault over.
Would they still get the advantage that Zini got because the guards are still distracted?
I would say probably now it's subsided a bit. Probably not. That was immediately afterwards. So.
Okay. At disadvantage, my stealth is 6.
Okay. And are you stealthing out as well, Scarlet? Or?
Yeah, I'm just rolling right now as we speak. I mean, it's an 11. That's
11?
an okay roll.
So as you walk out, Scarlet, into the breezy air, and Dalafar, you follow, you knock over a bucket that just on even the snowy ground is still relatively loud. And as this happens, the guard turns around and lifts up a lantern and excuse me, and he slowly starts to make his way over. You're not meant to be out after curfew.
And he's the only guard that I can see in front of the gate.
You glimpse around and you can see that the others still seem to be gathered around an alleyway, though how long this will last for, impossible to tell.
Am I anywhere nearby?
You're still in the alleyway unless you want to pop out.
I would like to at least see whether I can see. Is there anywhere that I can go where I'd be able to see Dalafar and Scarlet?
I mean, you can glimpse them from the alleyway you're in. They're stood a little way off from you, and the guard is slowly approaching them through there.
I will sit back and continue watching.
So the guard steps forward, and is there a reason you're out after curfew?
I just basically stop all pretense of sneaking and just walk past him, and all I say, and I'm going towards the gate, all I say is, "Your lady's in danger. Get inside now." And I just walk towards the front of the gate because
make a persuasion check for me.
Oh, it's a power play. I love it.
Persuasion.
Also a risk because she might be fine.
I know. Well, somebody's there.
Persuasion.
Go ahead.
Is 3.
Oh my word.
As you walk past, he just brings his halberd down in front of you and is like, "I don't think so. I think you're going to have to explain, or you're going to have to come with me, Sonny."
I push past him and just keep walking.
Hey! I've got someone trying to approach the house!
Yeah. Tara, can I give you a boost and you clamber up the trellis and see if you can see anybody inside?
As you hear shouting from the other side of the house, I'd like you to make an athletics check with advantage.
Me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm also
'cause
trying to be
I'm bad at
quiet so
climbing
that she
things.
can't hear me from inside.
Okay.
Which one of us has the note from the Eidelwhents?
Dalifar, I think.
The Dalifar! What the hell? Okay, I go, I'm very sorry. My friend Dalifar is very worried about your lady's safety. We have been employed by the Eidelwhents to look into these murders, and we have reason to believe she might be a target tonight. Dalifar, will you please show this lovely gentleman the papers?
I don't stop walking, but I pull out the paper and just show it at him, but I'm walking away towards the gate.
He's currently jogging after you.
I grab the paper and stop and show it to the guy.
And I'm still walking towards the front gate.
And I'm like, "I'm dreadfully sorry about this. You just can't stop him when he's, in one of these moods."
As this is happening, the other guards are now starting to rush over, and they're like, "Hey, go away from the house!" And they're slowly running towards Dalifar. Scarlet, make a persuasion check for me. What did you roll, Tara?
Sure.
18.
18. So as sort of you and Zini lock eyes, she just 1, 2, 3, and you just clamber up the trellis, and eventually you are up to the open window, and you pull yourself over, and you are suddenly in a house. Warm, certainly warmer than the outside, but the first thing that strikes you is just how dark everything is. While there are plenty of lamps around the space, almost too many to count, it seems a bit like a hoarder's paradise. All of them are unlit. And as you look around, you can see that everything is dusty, everything is sort of accumulating a couple of cobwebs. It looks very uncared for, but you are in the house. Scarlet, what did you roll?
Okay, so I've got a 15, which is great because I have a +0 to defense.
So
I have no charisma.
Scarlet comes through again.
The guard takes the paper and just looks it over, and just as the other guards are running forward about to rugby tackle Dalifar, he just goes, "Oh,
I'd love to see them try."
Wait, hang on. They say they're with the Eidelwhents, and the other guards stop just short of you, Dalifar, and they look at you and they just go, "But we're still going to need you to stop, sir."
I keep walking.
Sir, please stop.
Could we walk together, perhaps?
I stop just before the gate and turn around. You're wasting time.
They do have a letter from the Eidelwhents, Lance.
I stopped, Scarlet. It's okay, Scarlet. I stopped.
As Scarlet just pulls her eyelids down as she scrapes her hand down her face, and you see even Juliet is just shaking her head. The guards just, well, what do you believe is in there?
I have reason to believe that your lady is in danger. I can't explain now, it'll take too much time. It's better that you at least go in and make sure everything is all right.
Fine, but we're leading the way. We're in charge here.
Hurry up.
All right, yes. And so it runs past you, and they bring out a key that they have for the house, and as the snow continues to fall, they slowly open the door, and the dark interior opens up to you. Oriana, what are you doing?
I will very casually follow after Scarlet and Stalafar.
As everyone else is bundling into the house, you just sort of walk out into the snow, empty street ahead of you. Although as you approach the house, you still see a very poor guard just crouching in an alleyway, just, oh, why is nothing happening? As you slowly walk forward. Terra.
Yes.
Could you make a perception check for me, please?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 23.
Oh yeah.
So as you're looking through and you slowly start to make your way very carefully through the house, you see footprints on the floor beneath you. Snow, a bit of dirt, and in the dust itself, and you continue following this. And eventually you start to see light coming through, and a figure just comes around the corner, fairly hunched with tall horns, carrying a candle. Oh my God! God! And as she's doing so, a figure leaps out of the shadow at her, holding a knife in their hand, and tackles her to the floor, and she is now covered by someone who is on top of her and is raising the knife above the head.
Can I try and sort of barrel into them to push them off? And
yeah, sure, make an
push
attack
them
roll.
onto the ground.
Yeah, make an attack roll using your dex or your strength. It's up to you which.
This is unarmed, so can I use my tavern brawler thingy and grapple them?
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
Catherine, why did we not ask you to cast invisibility again?
I wrote it down for myself. I was like, use invisibility, but then I wasn't convinced, and I was like, oh, I'll just sneak around. But you know,
did the rest of us hear? Well, did I hear? Presumably, Lady Several cry out, or
considering how close you are to the house, I would say probably yes. And also Dalafar, as you and Scarlet, and eventually Oriana. And Oriana, you are met with very confused looks from the guards who are like, hey, where'd you come from?
He's with us.
There is a cry from upstairs, and you hear a on the floorboards above, and you're looking around, and it is a large open entrance hallway, and again it is dusty and the lanterns are unlit, but you can hear sound coming from upstairs.
Okay, so as soon as I hear that, I try and clamber the trellis.
As soon as I hear that, I scream to the soldiers, get to that room now.
Okay, so
this is when it's actually just the sound of her tackling me. There's no one there.
So what did you roll?
I rolled a 22.
22. As you run forward and wrap your arms around the assailant, you roll off the prone body of Lady Several, and you slam into a bookshelf, and dust rains down upon you. And as you hold them, you see a knife in their hand, and you just crunch a little bit, and the knife comes out of their hand. A human is currently in your...
Do I recognize them?
Make a perception check.
13.
13. As you sort of struggle and sort of hold them with both your arms, eventually you just grab the person's head and you slowly pull it round to look at you. And you see blank-eyed, blank expression, a very familiar face. One that you met on the journey from Voldhaven to Waterdeep. You see Svetlana Nadiat. Brown hair, slightly mousy and tied back, and wearing a heavy winter coat, and her eyes are rolled up as she struggles against you.
Do I get the impression that this is what happened with the servants being sort of controlled by the Bone Claws?
I think you probably have put two and two together.
Because I saw Zini fight against it, I'm assuming that was a familiar sight. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm just going to hold her down, make sure the knife is out of the way.
You kick it off to one side and it scatters across the floor as Several sort of props herself up on her arms and backs away, and she's like, oh my God, Svetlana! And she walks forward and she puts her hands over each cheek and just is looking at her and go, Svetlana, listen to me,
I'm gonna
Svetlana.
like push her out of the way so she gets far enough away and just say, she's being controlled by something. Stay over there.
Zini, what did you roll?
I rolled a 2.
2.
So with my -1, that's a non-natural 1.
So as you reach up and sort of grab a hold of the trellis, your barky skin just connects with the trellis, and you see that around it suddenly unnaturally starts to bloom and starts to clump around your hand and slowly moving up your forearm and up to your shoulder, and it stops there, but a couple of the flowers just bleed out a little bit more and sort of gently caress your face with their petals. And
nice.
You are currently trying to pull your arm away from the trellis. As for the other 3 of you, as you run up the stairs with the guards, you are met with the sight of Lady Several on the dusty ground and Terra holding who you recognize to be Svetlana Nadiat, prone on the ground.
I push my way in front of the guards and just stand there and just say to them, just stand back.
Are there any... Sorry.
No, you go.
Are there any mirrors around?
From your earlier perception check, doesn't look like it.
I turn to did we get a physical description of Lady Several? Because I don't think I would know if that.
Yeah, I think you. What, as in from Lord Eidelwhent?
Yeah, would I know who Lady Several is if I were to see her?
Not by sight, no.
Okay. And okay, so I turn to the person lying in the dust a little bit away. Say, "Are you Lady Several?"
She looks up at you. Yes. Who are you?
We're friends now. Do you know this person?
Yes. Yes, I do. And she stands and brushes herself down. She's one of my servants. She works in the kitchen.
Was she here tonight?
No. I sent all of my servants away almost a 10-day ago.
Okay. Okay, so I look at Tara and I say, I can knock her out if we have to, but do you have any better ideas?
Is she still struggling?
She is sort of moving against your grip quite forcefully.
Is Scarlet in the room?
I've come with the rest of the guards. I think I've also explained to the guards that Tara's with us. Just so they're not
Good point.
like, who is that? I'm like, Nalafar's going ahead and I'm just like, basically going, and that's Tara too. So
I'm going to look at Scarlet not pleadingly, but like, inquiringly.
I'm going to think, and by this I mean do an Arcana check about enchantments.
Okay.
And being charmed and how to break them. And I just got a 21.
21. Looking at this, it looks very similar to, but a lot more powerful than someone who would be under suggestion.
And I would know, I guess that'd be like counterspell, which I don't have, or I say, it seems like a very strong version of the spell suggestion, which I've personally never had much use for, but I have met those that have.
So, Is there any other way to... Do they stop if they go unconscious?
I believe hurting them can end the spell, but with this being so strong, I don't know if it'd be worth risking it.
I'm going to whack her on the head and knock her out.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say make an attack roll. At advantage.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, the first one was a natural 20.
So, yeah, I won't make you roll for damage. You just sort of quite concisely on the top of the head, and she immediately just goes limp.
And then I'm going to tie her hands together.
I sigh and go, I know how that feels, and then just go and help.
Do
you not remember the fight in the Devil's Arsehole?
Oh yeah.
It was a simpler time.
Let's leave that without the context it requires. So as you truss up Svetlana to, there's a table nearby, and you're able to truss her up to a table leg. And Zini, downstairs, the plants, as you kind of will them, they are slowly starting to drift back up your arm.
How long did it take us to get from the entrance of the undercellar to the Several house?
It is just coming up to an hour.
Okay, so the barkskin's nearly gone then.
Yes.
Okay. I'll just wait until it's gone and then try and clamber up again.
Okay. So you wait around 5 minutes as you hear noise coming from upstairs and loud, heavy footfall. You're like, come on, come on, come on, come on. Make for expediency's sake, you're able to clamber up with some tentativeness, but you clamber up and
dig the claws in.
You're sort of churning up bits of the wood as you're going up, but eventually you see your friend, and lying on the floor, much as you saw her the other day when she surprised you at the stables, you see Svetlana tied up. And as you come into the room, and as you all stand around her, after a couple of minutes, she comes to, a quite prominent mark on her head from where you hit her terror, and she looks up. Where am I?
What's the last thing? Oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
I ruined the dramatic
No. You go.
I was just going to say, what's the last thing you remember?
I was at my brother's, Anatoly, and I went outside for firewood. I remember nothing more. What are you all doing here?
And Lady Several looks down at her. Yes, and she looks at all of you. I would like to know that as well. And that is where we will end tonight's session.
I think that was better.
The mystery deepens. Thank you all so much for another great session. It's so nice doing this. God, I love you all. As ever, we will have another episode out next week. For the duration of isolation, our scheduling has sped up, which also means we get to play more, which is nice. But as ever, please give us a like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. You can also check out the podcast version of these episodes. If you want to catch up, or if you want to share them around, a recommendation and a share would go a long way in helping our audience outreach. But thank you so much, and in the meantime, as ever, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.